Hello everybody, my name is DySyncZ, aka your friendly neighborhood bathroom caster from the Challenger Circuit, and the Challenger Circuit is precisely what I am here to talk about today. So there's not a lot of Challenger Circuit content, as in there's really none, apart from the games, and a lot of people probably are just blindly guessing on the season ticket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I'm going to break down the games that happened in week 2, and I'm also going to go ahead and give predictions about things moving forward, talk about how things happen, why things happen, give very few examples, 1, 2 at the absolute most. And starting off this week, I'm going to be covering Europe. So let's get started with the very first game from Europe, which was Nova Sorso taking on New Game Plus. Now, if you follow the amateur scene at all, or if really you just don't like Nova Sorso, you fully expect the New Game Plus to just come out and clean 2-0 this. Nova Sorso had a split with the newly named Cool Name Pending last week, and they just looked rather unimpressive, honestly. I had very little faith in this team, despite having Zashu on it, who I think is one of the better players stuck in the amateur scene. You know, Frezzy, the only real remaining member from that Nova Sorso team that couldn't stick around in the SPL, that ended up losing out a whole bunch. But New Game Plus, well, first of all, they've announced that they're replacing their mid Caro. The announcement either hasn't been made yet or it hasn't happened yet. Could be either or, in my opinion, but we'll see. However, I don't know if Caro was necessarily the sole problem in this game. My opinion was that he was a problem on this team, but maybe not enough to get 2-0'd by Nova Sorso. So let's go ahead and give a little bit of insight into how exactly this ended up happening. So first off, starting off, we're in the picks and bans phase. So as you can see right here, Thoth is selected from Nova Sorso. I like Thoth. I do not think that he is a broken character, but I do think that you need a character that can punish him. Some assassin is really good at getting back there and killing. Thor's, he's a good example of that, but you need somebody to just punish. Oh, that's an Athena. So here's my issue with the Athena pick, is that I think Replicas is a very good Athena jungle, though it did not perform very well this game, but I think that this Thoth could just get completely out of control. If all goes well, New Game Plus wins this game in 5 minutes, but that's clearly not what ended up happening, and it was just a bad drafting decision coming out from them as well. Nor am I a big fan of Isis either, but that's just a personal grudge really more than anything else. So that kind of marked towards the immediate end of the picks and bans, as I'm going to just go ahead and scrub through a little bit. Ymir got drafted. Really, that's not the most impact character. Let's Frezzy do what Frezzy likes to do. All right, here we go. So now we're getting into this one. We got our first fight, our first real big game-changing fight here, coming in at the 11-minute mark as Vastrikal goes in, and Vastrikal gets blown up. Ayers is able to successfully find that kill. Frezzy dies to the hands of Caro. Fire Giant gets aggroed on top of them, and unfortunately, guess who's left completely unchecked? Both Zero and Zashu, as Replicas is the last to fall in that one. So backing it up just a little bit, you see them kind of really go all in after losing their solo laner here. Vastrikal just gets caught completely out. He's already sitting a little bit behind at 0-1. Zashu elected to go straight into the Mystical Mail, and he just dies instantly. Caro gets a nice kill, but they focus all their attention onto Frezzy, and the Fire Giant actually ended up aggroing onto Zashu. But Zero was left completely free on Caro. Replicas couldn't get away. I mean, there was so much priority put into Frezzy, and this is how Obey won some early games, was just through mistakes like that. It really didn't make any sense to me watching it. It did not look like a New Game Plus type of play either, and it was just very sloppy. Now here, game number 2, they lost game 1. That was really the fight that kind of broke everything completely wide open. This fight, I think, sums up really what a big issue about New Game Plus has been, and what an issue might stop being moving forward. First of all, they drafted Thoth for Caro, which I don't like him on the Thoth, just because I don't think Caro's your hard carry character, even though that is a hard carry type of mage. But now the fight's going on, and once again, they dump everything into Frezzy. Vastrikal says go, everybody else says stop, and Vastrikal just dies really completely without any repercussions here. Soon to fall to 0. The ultimate from Caro was completely wasted as he got off no damage from it. And now, guess who's full HP in this fight? The solo laner, Zashu, just goes right in and ends up doing a ton of damage. Ayers falls as a oops, that's for later. But so it ends up being this completely one-sided fight for the side of Nova Sorso. Sure, they killed Frezzy, but any team that Frezzy has ever been on is completely fine with him dying. New Game Plus dumped way too much into him, and Vashgal said go, everybody else said retreat. That fight ultimately leads to some objectives for Novasaurus. It ultimately starts breaking out the game, but I picked that fight not so much so for what it meant in the actual game and what it more so means for New Game Plus overall. Very, very sloppy. They end up taking it 2-0. Moving on to set number 2. Cool Name Pending taking on Sanguine Esports, and they did it. Sanguine won for the second time ever, and they did it against the other bottom team in the European Challenger Circuit. Though they did manage to find a split against Novasaurus. False more to Novasaurus now that I can see what they're capable of. So these two teams, Cool Name Pending, Sanguine Esports, well, honestly, you know, looking at the Cool Name Pending, the big name that stands out, Moex, right? Moex is the big hunter. Mike the Magikarp, he had a great land. It's the first time he's really looked good, honestly, in most competitive Smite settings, at least at a higher level. Otherwise, Doffel, Pretty Pan, Joshi. Letherial is interesting. He's being swapped out, I believe, that they have decided to part ways with their old support and is now Letherial. Though it might have been that their other support was a sub. I'm not entirely sure, so this was a classic split where one team looked great in game 1 and the other team didn't, and the other team looked great in game 2 and not so much so. So let's move back on over to the games and how things went down. So this is game 1. This is the game that Cool Name Pending ended up winning. This was a lot of little plays that really helped Cool Name Pending lead to this one, and I think this was a huge one because here Sanguine goes in and they really do dump a ton down, but they dump a ton down and then fight in a small corridor where that Humbats ultimate can just completely rip through them. And guess who they forgot to check as well? Revel just comes in and he just utterly decimates the entire team. I'm going to go ahead and just back this up so you can really see how this fight ends up taking place, because I kind of didn't talk through it super well. So first off, they get the Gold Fury. It's very good. Late ultimate comes out from Mike the Magikarp. It's whatever. But now all the calls is go, 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 let's fight. So now they are grouped up right now as 4. The 5th member is not currently there for them, as you can see Osiris over in that solo lane. And now they're in a tight order. Humbats ultimate gets dropped. Zalvia, Humbats is one of my favorite characters in Challenger Circuit at any level competitive play. I just think that ultimate is so incredibly useful. So now they're all getting spread out. They're all being hurt by it. But it's kind of like, all right, well, whatever. We got this. Why was there no check on Revel? Because here's what happens next, as you guys already got to see once. Revel jumps in. Yes, Philippou found 1 kill onto Mike the Magikarp. Now Revel just runs in, and it doesn't matter anymore. Moex is there, but it's really this fight all comes down to Revel just completely ripping through everybody. Left unchecked, the solo laners are incredibly powerful. They go on to take that game. And really, that could have been prevented from Sanguine if all that had to happen was... actually, I need to lower this down a little bit. Oops. All that had to happen was you have Doffel say, hey, there's no solo laner here, don't chase. And instead they chase. First of all, they chased into a tight corridor where Humbats ultimate could just destroy them. And then they just kept going. And Revel ended up winning them that. Game 2. Not quite the same story, actually, coming out here. Sanguine, once again, they were able to get a win early on. This is a fight kind of after Sanguine has already jumped out to a little bit of a lead, but I do think that this sums up the game really, really nicely. Philippou caught completely out by himself. Moex then goes in, and now Moex is the one caught out. He eats a ton of damage from the snipes and whatnot, but it's not enough to kill him because he's not quite in that position yet. Now the fight rages onward as everybody's trying to leave. Letherial pops the ultimate, and this is a really nice ultimate coming out from Pretty Pan. This was the best game that Pretty Pan has had up to this point in time on the Vulcan. But now Doffel goes up into the cloud. He's looking down. Zalvia goes down. Once again, Pretty Pan finds the other kill. Doffel does eventually trade his life, and Letherial does not find the return kill out onto Revel. But it does still look very, very good for the side of Sanguine because, well, A, they finally were able to win something, but B, it was just a matter of this team ended up looking dominant in that game. But they didn't look dominant for any other reason than CNP was completely split almost the entire game. Sanguine was split a lot in game number 1. A lot of communication issues. I think this game, it's going to reflect nicely on their win-loss column because cutting into predictions, if you want my honest opinion, next week our matches are Novus Orsa, Sanguine, New Game Plus, Cool Name Pending. It's a nice time to be put on that side of the screen. Flipped view, my bad. On that side of the screen Nova Sorsa and New Game Plus, if either of these teams lose a game, I will genuinely be surprised. I think that these two teams are far and away better than Sanguine and Cool Name Pending, and I think that there's a decent chance we could see one of these teams get relegated out of the Challenger circuit, and that really will wrap up for week number 3 and the first half of this summer split for the Challenger circuit. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Hopefully my North America video will be uploaded very, very shortly afterwards as well. So both of them will kind of come out at the same time. But if you have overall suggestions on format, anything else, please, please, please do let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, I hope all of you enjoy this, and I'll see all of you the next time. Bye!